Strap in, everyone. We're going deep today. Deep into modern masculinity.
Ooh, diving right in.
You guys sent in a ton of stuff. And this author, well, let me just say he's not pulling any punches.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. It's not the usual men are the problem kind of stuff you see everywhere.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Feels like he's coming at it from a totally different angle.
Absolutely. He's tackling this whole traditional masculinity thing head on.
Yeah, he's not afraid of words like strength and resilience or even discipline.
Which, let's be honest, those words get thrown around a lot, often with negative...
It's almost like they've become taboo. But he's reclaiming them in a good way.
Totally. He's connecting those traits back to the actual challenges men are facing today in the real world.
I like how he uses that analogy of the CEO making tough decisions.
Oh, yeah. And how that same decisiveness applies to everyday life.
It's about being able to step up, take charge when you need to.
Precisely. He argues that biologically men are wired for this kind of leadership.
Interesting. And society is trying to tell us that's a bad thing.
Basically, yeah. He thinks we're demonizing those instincts. The very things that make men, well, men.
He even brings up some heavy hitters from history to illustrate his point.
Oh, yeah. He name drops guys like Lincoln, Churchill, real leaders.
Showing how they embodied those classic masculine virtues.
Courage, resilience, the ability to make a damn decision. And he's saying we need more of that today, not less.
Okay, I see where he's going with this, but I'm sure some people are going to hear that and immediately think toxic masculinity.
Oh, he definitely addresses that head on.
Does he buy into that whole thing?
He doesn't mince words. He thinks the term's been weaponized.
To shame men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To make them question their natural instinct.
Yeah.
And he sees that as incredibly damaging.
Especially for guys who are already struggling with self-esteem or mental health.
Exactly. It's like telling them their very nature is wrong.
So it's not about ignoring bad behavior.
No, not at all.
It's more about reclaiming the positive aspects of masculinity. Precisely. He's calling for balance.
Not throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. He acknowledges that men need empathy, emotional intelligence, all that.
Right, the whole package.
But not at the expense of their core strengths.
It's about being a complete person, not just fitting into some predefined box.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of boxes,
Yeah.
he also talks about the dangers of conformity, right?
Yeah, that whole follow the crowd mentality.
He uses Steve Jobs as an example, a total
Revolutionize entire industries by thinking differently.
Exactly. His point is, real progress comes from challenging the status quo, not blindly following it.
Makes you think, how many times have we felt pressured to conform, to fit in, maybe even silenced ourselves?
More than we realize, probably.
Definitely makes you think about those times you maybe bit your tongue to avoid rocking the boat.
Happens all the time. But this author is pushing back against that hard.
He's all about encouraging people to think critically, not be afraid to stand out, be their own person.
Absolutely. And speaking of modern pressures, he dives into social media too.
Oh yeah, that whole can of worms.
He doesn't just condemn it outright though, does he? I mean, it's not all bad.
I got the sense that he had a more nuanced take.
You picked up on that too. He acknowledges that it can be a tool for connection, but
But there's a dark side.
he's wary of the downsides, big time.
It's like anything else, right? Powerful tool, but you got to use it carefully.
Exactly. He talks about that curated reality at present, the constant comparison.
Makes it tough to feel good about yourself when everyone's presenting their highlight reel.
Right. And he touches on that echo chamber effect. We get trapped in these bubbles.
Only hearing opinions that confirm what we already think.
Not exactly healthy.
Not at all. Makes it hard to have a real conversation, consider different viewpoints.
He challenges readers to really examine their social media use. Is it connecting you or isolating you?
Good question. Something we should all be asking ourselves, honestly.
For sure. But, he doesn't just leave us hanging with all this negativity. He also offers practical advice on how to build resilience.
Oh yeah, he gets into that too. And it's not just about toughening up, right?
No, not the suck it up approach. More about equipping yourself with the right tools.
He talks about exercise, mindfulness,
Even the importance of a healthy diet.
which I gotta admit, that surprised me at first. But he makes a good case for the mind-body connection.
Oh, absolutely. He highlights the link between diet and mental health, things like omega-3s.
Can actually improve your mood and resilience.
It's not just about fueling your body, it's about fueling your mind, too.
Right. It all ties back to this idea of being a strong, well-rounded individual.
Exactly. But he also recognizes that sometimes the biggest obstacles are internal, in our own heads.
He goes deep into that, the psychology of it all.
Oh, yeah. He talks about limiting beliefs, those negative thought patterns that hold us back.
The self-sabotage. We all do it, right?
He talks about how these beliefs often develop as a way to protect ourselves, but
they end up trapping us in fear and self-doubt.
And he stresses how important it is to identify those beliefs, challenge them.
Easier said than done, right?
He gives some real-world examples, though. Positive self-talk, finding the right mentors, can really help.
It's about rewiring your mindset, breaking free from those limitations.
And then he brings up gratitude.
Ah, yes, counting your blessings.
He makes a compelling argument for cultivating a mindset of gratitude.
It's about focusing on what we have rather than dwelling on what we lack.
Exactly. And he believes it can transform your life, relationships, health, everything.
It's amazing how a simple shift in perspective can have such a big impact.
Totally agree.
Makes you think, what are we grateful for today? Even the small things, right?
Absolutely. It's a practice we could all benefit from. More gratitude, less complaining.
Couldn't agree more. But beyond individual growth, this author also stresses the importance of community.
Especially for men. He goes deep on the concept of brotherhood.
He even uses some pretty powerful examples from history, like the Roman legions, the Knights of the Round Table.
It's about that bond, that camaraderie, having each other's backs.
And he thinks modern society's failing men in this area.
Big time. He's pretty passionate about it, actually.
So he's encouraging men to seek out those connections.
Absolutely. Build those brotherhoods that provide support, camaraderie, real connection.
Not just surface level stuff.
Exactly. And it's not just about hanging out, watching the game. It's about open, honest communication.
Which is something he dedicates a whole section to, right?
Yeah, effective communication for men. It's not just about being this strong, silent type.
He goes beyond just speaking clearly. Talked about understanding nonverbal cues, adapting your communication style.
Even mastering public speaking.
Wow, he covers it all.
He even touches on storytelling, how it can be used to connect on a deeper level.
It's about expressing yourself authentically, building those genuine connections.
Which ultimately is what it's all about. Being able to connect, relate, be understood.
And that ties back to his discussion on personal boundaries.
Protecting your time, energy, emotional space, all of it.
It's about knowing your limits and not being afraid to communicate them.
Clearly and assertively. No wishy-washy stuff. He goes through different types of boundaries, too.
Emotional, physical, digital, work, relationships, even consent.
It's a comprehensive look at how to protect yourself, create healthy relationships.
Makes you really think about where your own boundaries are. Are we effectively protecting ourselves?
It's a good question to ask regularly. And speaking of protecting what's important, he delves into loyalty and commitment, too.
Cornerstones of any strong relationship, wouldn't you say?
He sees them as absolutely essential, whether it's personal or professional.
He uses that analogy of a ship without a rudder. If you don't have loyalty,
You're lost at sea, drift.
it's powerful imagery. And it really makes you think about your own relationship. Are they built on a solid foundation?
It's a deep question, worth pondering.
Definitely. And he doesn't shy away from the tougher topics either, like personal honor.
He defines it as that internal code of conduct, the thing that guides your actions.
The compass that points you true north.
Exactly. And he links it to social responsibility, too. A man of honor is more likely to be a positive force in the world.
But he also acknowledges that people make mistakes.
And that's where redemption comes in. The possibility of regaining your honor if you've strayed from your value.
It's a message of hope that we're all capable of change.
For sure. And then he gets into, well, let's just say it, cultural Marxism.
Ah, that's a loaded term these days.
He's pretty critical of it, sees it as undermining traditional values, individual liberty.
He has some strong opinions about its influence in institutions like media, education, even religion.
He sees it as a force that often demonizes masculinity, leading to confusion and a loss of identity for a lot of men.
So what's the solution? What does he propose we do about it?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. He introduces this idea of the spiritual warrior.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He presents this archetype as a way for men to navigate the complexities of the modern world.
So it's about more than just physical strength.
Oh, way more. It's about mental resilience, self-control, discipline, and taking purposeful action.
Facing those challenges head on with a clear sense of self.
Exactly. And that's just scratching the surface.
It sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack. This is just the beginning, folks.
It's fascinating how he connects this spiritual warrior idea to emotional mastery. He's not just talking about being tough,
Right, it's deeper than that. More about emotional intelligence.
Exactly. It's about resilience, not letting your emotions control you, which is huge, especially these days.
It's true. Everyone's so quick to react, to get offended.
He argues that a true warrior, a spiritual warrior, learns to harness those emotions.
Not suppress them.
He actually sees them as a source of strength, not something to be ashamed of.
That's interesting. But how do you actually do that? We all have those moments where we just lose it.
He talks about triggers, identifying those things that set you off, the people, the situation.
And then, you just avoid them.
It's more about developing strategies to manage them so you can choose a better response.
So you're not just reacting instinctively, you're being more intentional.
Right. And he gives some really practical tools, technique. He even talks about humor.
Oh yeah, laughter's the best medicine, right?
He sees it as a way to diffuse tension, cope with tough situations.
And it's like finding that balance, being strong, but also lighthearted, not taking yourself too serious.
Exactly. And he also brings up emotional literacy.
Being able to name your emotions, understand where they're coming from.
Yes, and then being able to communicate them effectively.
It's funny, I never really thought about emotional intelligence as being masculine, but it makes total sense.
It's not just about being tough or stoic. It's about being aware of yourself and others and being able to connect on a deeper level.
Which ties back to his whole thing about personal boundaries, protecting your emotional well-being.
So people don't take advantage of you or drain your energy.
So it's about knowing your limits and communicating them.
Clearly and directly. And again, he gets into the specific, how to set those boundaries in a way that's firm but respectful.
For yourself and the other person.
Right. It's not about being a jerk. It's about taking care of yourself.
And that includes self-care, right? Taking time to recharge.
Absolutely. He's a big advocate for rest, relaxation, things that bring you joy.
It's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget to do that.
He even suggests specific things, spending time in nature, being creative, unplugging from technology.
We all need that reminder sometime to slow down, take a break.
It's not selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup.
True that. And speaking of taking care of yourself, he also talks about physical conditioning.
Key part of the spiritual warrior's journey. And again, it's not just about physical strength.
Right, there's got to be more to it. What's the deeper connection?
He sees it as building mental and emotional resilience as well.
So it's all connected.
Exactly. But he's not just talking about hitting the gym, you know.
He takes a more holistic approach.
Yeah, he emphasizes balance, exercise, nutrition, rest, recovery, the whole bag
So it's not about punishing yourself. It's about finding a routine that works for you.
that you enjoy, something sustainable.
It's about respecting your body, understanding that it's the vessel for your entire life experience.
Well said. And that leads us to, well, one of the most intense parts of the book.
Lay it on me.
He calls it the war on truth.
Wow, okay, that sounds heavy.
He basically argues that we're living in a time where truth is constantly under attack, distorted by media, politics, even our own
It's
biases.
more than just misinformation. Like a deliberate manipulation of reality.
That's his argument. And he wants readers to become critical thinkers, question everything.
Not just accept what we're being told.
Exactly. Seek out alternative sources of information, develop media literacy skills.
Fact check everything. Become your own truth detective.
He's all about that. And he gives practical tips, you know, check sources, consider different perspectives.
And be aware of your own bias. That's a big one.
Huge. We all have them, but we had to be aware of them.
So we're not just blindly following the crowd.
Exactly. He's also a huge advocate for free speech. Sees it as essential for a healthy
It's like that saying, I disagree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Exactly. You got to be able to have open and honest conversations, even about tough topics.
Without fear of being shut down.
And he encourages readers to speak their truth, even when it's unpopular.
Even when it's hard.
He sees silence as complicity and believes we have a moral obligation to speak out against injustice, against falsehood.
That's powerful. And it's definitely not always easy, but I think he's right. If we don't stand up for what we believe in,
Yeah.
who will?
And he takes it a step further, talks about building a counterculture, a community of like-minded individuals who value truth and freedom.
It's like finding your tribe, your people.
The people who get you, who share your values, who will support you when things get tough.
It's about building something better together.
And he believes it starts with each of us taking responsibility for our own lives, our choices, our impact on the world,
He's not just complaining about the problems, he's offering solutions.
and empowering people to act.
Which brings us to another one of his big ideas. Traditional male initiation rites.
Yeah, this is where things get really interesting.
He's talking about like those coming of age rituals you see in indigenous cultures.
Similar, yeah. But he believes modern society has lost touch with those traditions.
Now that's a problem.
He thinks it's leaving young men adrift, without a clear sense of purpose or direction.
So what's the solution? What does he propose?
Mentorship, having strong role models, men who can guide younger men.
Okay, but what about those rituals, the rites of passage?
He suggests creating modern-day versions, things like wilderness retreats, martial arts training, community service.
Stuff that challenges them, pushes them outside their comfort zone.
Exact. And helps them discover their inner strength.
It's about more than just, going camping. It's about marking a transition, stepping into manhood.
And he emphasizes the importance of celebrating those milestones, too, recognizing the
So
achievement.
it's not just about the individual, it's about the community coming together to support these young men.
Exactly. And brotherhood plays a huge role in that.
Having those strong bonds with other men.
He sees it as essential for their well-being and for passing down wisdom and tradition.
That connection across generation, it's pretty powerful.
He's a big believer in mentorship. Older men guiding younger men, sharing their knowledge, experience.
And then he ties it all back to loyalty.
Loyalty to your principle, your people, your word.
It's about being reliable, dependable, someone people can count on.
He gives all these examples from history, literature, Spartan, the Knights of the Round Table.
Loyalty's always been a highly valued trait.
Throughout history, it's about building trust, creating strong relationships.
But Isn't there a danger in blind loyalty? What if you have to choose between your loyalty to someone and your loyalty to your values?
He addresses that too. Talks about discerning loyalty, knowing when to stand firm and when to walk away.
It's about being loyal to your values first and foremost.
Exactly. And that leads into his discussion of personal honor.
That internal code of conduct, doing the right thing even when it's hard.
He believes honor is essential for self-respect and for earning the respect of others.
He gives examples too, right? Like George Washington, Atticus Finch.
Men who lived by a strong moral compass, who did the right thing even when it was unpopular.
And he also talked about redemption.
The possibility of regaining your honor if you've made mistakes. He believes it's never too late to change, to live a life worthy of respect.
It's a powerful message.
It is, and he ties it back to forgiveness.
Forgiving yourself, forgiving others.
He sees it as essential for letting go of the past, moving forward.
It's about choosing to release those negative emotions, to create space for peace and understanding.
And then he talks about compassion, seeing true strength not just in physical power, but in empathy.
Being able to understand other people's perspectives, even if you don't agree with them.
Exactly. He sees compassion as key for both personal and societal transformation.
It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes,
And then he brings up service, using your strengths to make a positive impact on the world.
giving back to your community, making a difference.
He encourages readers to find ways to do that, whether it's volunteering, donating, or just being a good neighbor.
It all comes back to that spiritual warrior.
The man who's committed to both inner and outer strength, grounded in his values, willing to fight for what he believes in.
But also compassionate, vulnerable.
He sees those qualities as strengths, not weaknesses.
It's about embracing your full humanity, all of it.
Exactly. And then he talks about discipline, focus, perseverance.
Things that help you achieve your goals, overcome challenges.
He gives practical tips for cultivating those qualities too, setting clear intention, having a daily routine.
So it's not just about motivation. It's about building the habits that support your growth.
And finding a spiritual practice that works for you, whatever that looks like.
It's about nurturing your mind and spirit, as well as your body.
He also talks about having a strong sense of purpose, a clear vision for your life.
Knowing why you're here, what your mission is.
It's what gives you direction, keeps you focused on what matters.
But how do you find your purpose? That seems like such a big question.
He encourages readers to reflect on their values, their interests, their talent.
It's about figuring out what lights you up, what makes you feel alive, and then finding a way to share that with the world.
And then taking action, actually doing something with that purpose.
Putting it into practice.
And then perseverance, not giving up on your dreams.
Even when it gets tough.
He sees perseverance as a key ingredient for success.
It's about having grit, determination.
And celebrating your successes along the way, no matter how small.
Acknowledging your accomplishment, giving yourself credit for the progress you've made.
And then, well, he reminds us that personal growth is a lifelong journey.
It's not a destination. It's about the process.
Embracing the ups and downs, the challenge, the triumphs, and never stopping learning and growing.
It's about always striving to become a better version of yourself. It's amazing how it all ties together, right? Like all these different pieces of the puzzle.
That's what I was thinking. And he brings it all home in this last section, this idea of healing.
Healing. Interesting. Not just physical healing, I'm guessing.
Right. It's deeper than that. Emotional, spiritual, the whole shebang.
So it's not just about being a warrior, but a healer too.
Exactly. He sees it as a holistic process, addressing the root causes of suffering, whatever those might be.
Makes sense. And we all experience suffering in different ways. Physical pain, emotional pain. It can manifest in so many forms.
He's big on the mind-body connection, how our thoughts and feelings impact our physical health, and vice versa.
It's true. We tend to compartmentalize those things. Physical health is over here, mental health is over there, but it's all connected.
Totally. He's advocating for a more integrated approach to well-being.
And he talks about different healing modalities too, right?
Oh, yeah. From traditional medicine to alternative therapy. He's open to it all.
He even mentions forgiveness as a healing agent, letting go of the past, all those grudges and resentments.
Forgiveness is huge. He sees it as essential for healing on both a personal and interpersonal level.
It's not about condoning bad behavior, though.
No, it's about freeing yourself from that bitterness and anger.
It can really eat you up inside.
Absolutely. It's about choosing to move on, create space for peace and understanding.
And that's where gratitude comes in, right? Choosing to focus on the good, even when things are tough.
Gratitude is a game changer. He sees it as a way to shield your perspective from scarcity to abundance.
It's like that whole glass half full, glass half empty thing.
Exactly. It's about training your mind to focus on what you have rather than what you lack.
He even suggests creating a daily gratitude practice, writing down things you're grateful for, or taking a moment to appreciate nature.
Little things can make a big difference. It's about those small shifts in mindset.
And he talks about the importance of connecting with nature too, spending time outdoors.
Nature is a powerful healer. It's a place to escape the noise, the distraction.
Just breathe, reconnect with your senses.
He encourages readers to make time for it,
Yeah.
Whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the mountains, even just sitting under a tree.
It's about remembering that we're part of something bigger, connected to this amazing web of life.
And speaking of connection, he also talks about developing your spiritual side.
Exploring your beliefs, connecting with something greater than yourself.
He sees it as a journey of self-discovery, finding meaning, purpose, tapping into your inner wisdom.
And it doesn't have to be religious, right?
Not necessarily. He encourages people to explore different traditions, find what resonates with them.
It's about that personal connection to something bigger than yourself, whatever that looks like for you.
Exactly. And then he talks about living a life with integrity, being true to yourself, doing the right thing, even when it's hard.
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
He sees integrity as a foundation for a good life, being honest, taking responsibility for your actions, living in alignment with your values.
And it's not always easy, especially in today's world.
It takes courage, commitment, but he believes it's worth it.
And it ties back to his whole thing about purpose, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what you're here to do, what your contribution is.
Purpose is everything. It gives your life meaning, direction. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning.
But finding your purpose, that can feel so daunting.
He encourages readers to reflect on their values, their interests, their talents, what lights them up, what makes them feel alive.
It's about finding what you're uniquely good at, and then finding a way to share that with the world.
And then taking action, moving beyond just thinking about it, actually doing it.
Making it happen,
And then persevere, not giving up when things get tough.
which they inevitably will.
He sees perseverance as essential for success.
It's about having that grit, that determination,
And then celebrating your successes along the way, no matter how small.
giving yourself credit for the progress you've made.
It's all about those small wins that keep you going.
And finally, he reminds us that this is a lifelong journey. Personal growth, I mean.
It never ends. There's always more to learn, more to discover,
It's about embracing the process, the ups and downs.
and always striving to become the best version of yourself.
This has been, wow, what a deep dive. Truly inspiring stuff.
I agree. It's given me a lot to think about.
And we want to thank you all for sending in these amazing materials. It's been an honor to explore them with you.
If you want to learn more, be sure to check out the author's book. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
And until next time, keep seeking truth, keep growing, and keep shining your light.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.